Yo, 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 welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. And before we get to our guest today, we have a big shout out for Living Sisu. Living Sisu is a platform and app that wants to give you all the tools to have success in your sport. Their main objective is to activate your lifestyle. So it's for active people. Enjoy discounts at companies like BioSteel, 30% off, Body Logics, the Goalie Guild, all his books are discounted. Roan, Lululemon for men, 20% off, online stretching programs with Eccentrics, 1 full month free. They got super silent massage guns, 20% off those. And it's a great quality. It's way less expensive than a Theragun, and it's great quality. So there's so many more discounts that you guys will need to just become a member to see. So they want to provide you with anything you need for success. So come join the community. I'm a part of it. A bunch of other athletes are a part of it. So it's free to join. It takes 20 seconds to get exclusive offers to your sport, and it's definitely worth it. So do us a huge favor and go sign up for Living Sisu's membership. It's free, takes 20 seconds. So go do it, and we'll see you there. Living Sisu is a great company. We know one of the co-founders, Zach Fricali. He's a great guy. He's the co-founder. He does a lot of live streams on Instagram at Living Sisu, and with a bunch of elite athletes, and you learn a lot from like the athletes' determination, their resiliency, everything to what made them become successful. So it's been a great experience so far. So go on. I'm gonna leave the link in the description. So go sign up. Yo, welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and in today's episode we are joined by a very special guest, current professional hockey goaltender, Sean Romeo. Sean is currently playing in the ECHL with the Indy Fuel in his second pro season. Sean played his junior hockey days in the USHL for the Youngstown Phantoms for 4 years before playing 2 years of college hockey at University of Maine and 2 years at Ohio State University before starting his pro career with the Cincinnati Cyclones in the ECHL. So this is going to be a really fun interview, Sean. So welcome to the show, Sean Romeo.
It's good to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So like, how have things been for you? Like, it's been a crazy busy season and like a crazy season overall with like how many games you guys have to play in such short amount of time. So like, how's everything going with you?
Yeah, it's been a weird year. So initially I was signed to go back to Cincinnati to start the year. But they opted out of the season. I'd say close to half the teams probably opted out of the season this year. So I was scrambling a little bit to find a spot, and then I got the call from Kansas City. Bounced around a little bit, and I'm in Indy now, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about this season so far for you. So since you just played a game yesterday, so you spent the season with 3 teams, I believe. You spent time with Kansas City, South Carolina, and Indy so far this season. So like, what has this year been like for you, especially with just traveling between Kansas City, South Carolina, and now you're in Indy?
Yeah, it's been tough. It's not a whole lot of stability this year, but I'm just grateful I have a job. A lot of good goalies are at home right now, not playing, so I'm grateful for that. But it's been tough mentally for sure. You getting bounced around is never fun. You'd like to be in one spot and go on a run. So I'm hoping that I can do that here in Indy and go on a little playoff push with the boys.
Yeah, for sure. So you got a 1-0 shutout yesterday against Fort Wayne yesterday. So like, how's the season in Indy going for you? And since you've only been there for a few games, like, how's everything going in Indy for you?
Yeah, I've only played 3 games here so far, but I've played pretty well, and it's a really good team. So obviously that makes the goalie's job a little easier. Right now we're in a playoff spot. We're in 3rd place, I believe. So we're trying to, secure that, maybe inch up in the rankings. But we got a good group of guys, and I think we got something special here.
Yeah, for sure. You guys are pushing for the playoffs right now. So how's the rest of the season looking for you? Like, how many more games you got, and what do you think is going to help you guys make the playoffs?
I think we got like 11 more games left, and we're heading out tomorrow to Rapid City. We got a 4 and 5 coming up, so the schedule's been crazy.
That's rough.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough, but it's what you sign up for at the start of the year. I think we had a little come to Jesus moment with the team. We came together as a group over. We had a tough game in South Carolina. we blew a 4-1 lead in the third period and lost in overtime. So I think teams kind of go one of two ways after that. They kind of either fold or they come together. And I think we definitely, bonded over that. And I think that's going to be a big turning point, later on in the year when we're looking back. I think we'll point to that and say that was a big, big game for us.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like everything's going in the right direction for you guys. So then again, like starting off with this season, like you were in Kansas City for a little bit. You were originally supposed to be with Cincinnati before they opted out. So like how crazy was it to find a team in Kansas City like that and just get some games under your belt, especially after the long off season?
Yeah, well, to tell you how even it was looking crazier than that. So I was signed in Cincy, they opted out. I didn't have a place to play, so I didn't know what was going to happen. Kansas City called me the day before their first game because they had COVID stuff and they needed a goalie. And I actually missed the phone call and called them back 30 minutes later, and they already found someone else to go. So I was like, man, it's just not my year. And then ended up working out with them a few weeks later on. But yeah, I was scrambling at the start of the year. Like I thought there was a chance I might not even be playing hockey this year.
Yeah, for sure. And like a lot of other people, like it's a tough place to get playing time now, especially with COVID and all that. So like you find yourself in Kansas City and then you go to South Carolina, which is I've heard is a beautiful place to play. So like what was playing in South Carolina like for those few games before finally ending up in Indy where you are now?
Yeah, South Carolina was sick. You got guys showing up in their golf clothes, got tee times at 12:30 after practice. You're living in a vacation spot. The place is awesome. Group of guys was incredible too. Like we were super close there, had a lot of fun. Um, I can't complain about my time there at all. That's for sure.
Yeah, good time to golf out there when after you get done with pracky and then you just gotta hit the links and enjoy the time outside in beautiful South Carolina.
Absolutely. You go practice, lunch, golf, walk around downtown, grab dinner downtown. So it was a fun little stint I had there.
Yeah, absolutely. So then going into a little bit of like your learning experience this year is like, what have you learned this year about like everything that like taken place over the course of the year and like how to separate yourself from the other competition? Like, what have you been doing to help yourself stay on top of your game throughout this time?
Man, I think it's so cliche and like you always hear it from, older athletes and people that have been through it, but the game is so mental, man, especially when you're in a position like I was bouncing around and stuff. It's like you can either, give into that kind of stuff and let it affect you, or you can just stay true to yourself and, do what you do and do what makes you successful. So I found this year I had to really just believe in myself and my process and kind of stick with it. And, it's taken a little bit more time than I would have liked, but now that I'm kind of seeing success, I feel like it was definitely worth it.
Yeah. So like what is the mindset when you're literally like traveling all over the place, like you said, and you're bouncing around? Like your confidence in yourself is obviously a huge one. And then like everything else that comes with it, with the little things that help to keep you in the right mindset. So like what was your mind? How do you keep a positive mindset when everything's like bouncing around like that?
Yeah, so I listened to a podcast a while ago. I don't remember which one it was, but I heard this quote that really stuck with me. And the guy was talking about just kind of being mindful and being in the moment and stuff. And he talked about spending a second in eternity. And that really stuck with me. It was like, if you can be totally in the moment and immersed constantly, like you don't think about the fact that you just drove 10 hours to South Carolina to play a game. It's like you're here, you're ready to play, so kind of like that. It was just taking each day by day, just sticking with the process, doing what I need to do to be successful, and kind of not worrying about the outside stuff, just focusing so internally and just on things that I needed to do to be better for myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really like that quote, especially like as a goalie, like you have to be in the moment at all times because
Yeah,
once you're not in the moment, like as you know, probably from experience, like everything doesn't go your way at that point. Like you could let in a terrible goal, bad bounce gets to you, like whatever it is, like you just gotta stay in that positive mindset and be in the moment at all times.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I want to get into a little bit of like your junior background a little bit here and like where you first started. So, like, can you give like our viewers a little background information on yourself, like when you started playing hockey, what made you become a goaltender? Was your first real moment where you're like, I want to be a goaltender?
Started I started like rollerblading when I was 6. Started playing like roller hockey and stuff. Then I didn't switch to ice. Switched to ice at 8, and then I didn't switch to goalie full time until I was like 9 or 10. Um, I think hockey just started with like street hockey to roller hockey because I was in North Carolina, so roller hockey was probably a little bigger at the time, and then transferred to ice hockey. But I remember we were in Colorado watching like we were at a sports bar. I was super young. We were on vacation, and I watched Marty Brodeur in the playoffs. And watching him, he was the guy where I was like, I want to be a goalie. And I tried it out a roller hockey game. I let in like 10 goals or something my first game, but absolutely loved it. And it kind of stuck with me ever since then.
Yeah, for sure. You sometimes have those moments where it's like I've experienced like you have like a terrible game and then you're still like this is fun. Like I want to do this, like especially when you first started, like what going into like roller hockey a little bit here, like what was roller hockey like in North Carolina and just being able to play like street hockey, roller hockey and just help like translate that onto the ice eventually when you get a little bit older.
Yeah, well, I mean, like talking about being in the moment, man. Like when you're that age playing a game like that, you're totally immersed in it. You're just having an absolute blast. Like I couldn't care less if I let in 10 goals. I forgot about it right after. I think the biggest thing was just learning the love for the game at that point. I wasn't like training. I wasn't doing skating drills and stuff like that. I was just going out and having fun, and that kind of built the passion and desire to want to work at it and do all that stuff. So I think the biggest carryover was just finding the love for the game at that age, and that stuck with me ever since.
Yeah, that's huge because even now, like the love of the game, like that's why you're playing hockey and just it's still so much fun and you're still at that moment where it's like in the moment there where you're like, I love everything. Like sure, like things don't always go the right way, especially like when you get to pros and college and all that. But like when you get in the moment, you're like you think about it, like you're like this is fun and like I enjoy doing it and do it for the love of the game.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what it's all about, man. Like things get so stressful at times, and if you don't love what you do, like you're not going to be successful, and it's not going to last very long. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And like when you're not having fun, like everything's not going to go your way and just it's not going to be enjoyable for you at all.
Exactly. That's when it becomes a job. I've never felt like hockey's been a job, and if I wasn't enjoying it, then getting to practice early, all that stuff, that would just get old. But if you have that desire to get better every day, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. So then going into your junior career a little bit here, what was the junior process like for you to get a shot in the USHL in the United States Hockey League to start off your junior career with the Youngstown Phantoms and play there all 4 years? Like, did you attend like a main camp, get a tryout? Like, what was that process like?
I got recruited. They were like scouting me at. We made it to nationals when I was 15. I just turned 15, I think. So my 14-15 year made it to nationals, and they were recruiting me. I don't know how they knew who I was or why I was being recruited, but they seemed to like something about my game. And I went to camp, didn't make the team, and then that next year they called me up. So my first call-up game was I was 15, and then I ended up going up there. I had just turned 16 at Christmas time. I moved up there at Christmas time for the second half of the year.
Yeah, so you like you said you got cut from the team. So like what was the mindset like when you got cut and like what were you just like I'm gonna like put my head down, keep working harder, like especially when you get cut, like things get tough. So like what did you do at that time when you're 15?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest with you. Like, I remember being in the locker room. I made it pretty far in the camp, and then got cut before like the final game or whatever. And like a kid I was with was like throwing gear in the locker room. He was all upset, dude. Like I had no clue what the USHL was growing up. Like I was just so happy to be there, like the learning experience. Like I was just pumped for how it went. I had no expectations or anything like that going into it. So um, I really wasn't upset just being so young and being in that environment. It was just cool to be there, but it definitely opened my eyes up to where I wanted to be in the future. So I think that if I were older in that position, I would have been really upset for sure. But just being so young and like so naive to the process and stuff, it was like I was just happy to be there and excited for the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes the experience is all you need because you see the competition, you see where you have to be to get to that level. And then like you're just learning from every experience that you have at that camp, and just you're able to just take everything you learn from that and just apply it for whenever you get that next opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, at that point too, I didn't feel like I was ready to play in the USHL. I was probably 5'9", 130 pounds. Like I couldn't compete against 20-year-old men at that point. So I really I just learned a lot from it. And yeah, it was a cool experience to go there that young.
Yeah, for sure. So then you get called back up to Youngstown and you played in one game. So like, what was it like to get that one game and like learn from that experience that you had, even from getting cut, like just to play in your first game? Like, what was that experience like?
Yeah, I think so. Once I got called up, we had an unbelievable goalie coach there, Shane Clifford, who's still one of my mentors to this day. I got to work with him once a week, and he kind of instilled in me the confidence that I belong here and stuff. And that's when I started to feel like a real USHL player. So I worked with him the whole second half of the year. My game felt great. So then the last game of the year, they put me in at the end, and just it was cool to play that little part of the game, just going into the next year to give me that confidence. Like, I belong in this league, I can play, and then I had all the confidence in the world moving forward after that.
Yeah, for sure. So like, how big was that confidence booster just to even play those couple of those minutes that you did in just that one game to really further you into the next year and just like have like all that confidence you need to know that you belong there, like you said, and just that you want the opportunity to come.
Yeah, 'cause I remember getting on the ice when coach told me to go in. It was probably like, I don't know, 10 minutes left or something like that. And dude, I got on the ice. I was shaking. I was so nervous to be out there. I was like, what is going on? So just kind of like getting those jitters out of the way, and then having the whole summer to think about, I played at this level, even if it was for a short time. Like, I still made saves. Like, I played, I was fine. And then going into the next year in preseason, I think I played 2 preseason games, and I, played great. And so I think that 10-minute experience, whatever it was, gave me a lot of confidence training in the summer. And just, I had that confidence in myself that I belong at this level going into the next year.
Absolutely. So then like you play the 10 minutes of that game, and like how big was the support from your teammates? Like, I'm sure they're supporting you all the entire way, and just even just getting in 10 minutes, like that must have been a really cool experience to, especially with the support from everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been fortunate in my career to be, with a lot of good group of guys. I want to say we played Chicago Steel. I remember that. We were up like 7-1 or something like that. So the game was over. But after the game, like, they all came on the ice, like we just won an overtime winner, and they all stormed me, and it was a cool experience for sure. And I'm very grateful to have that group of guys to experience that with. They made it really memorable for me, that's for sure.
That's awesome that like everything happened, that it was like an overtime winner pretty much, and just even though the score wasn't that, but like just getting that support from your teammates and just being surrounded by them after that win, like that must have been nice.
Yeah, and I mean, both teams were out of playoffs too, and I had guys diving around, blocking shots. Last 10 minutes of a blowout game, it's like you don't see that normally, but these guys were doing everything they could to play their best for me, and I really appreciate all that.
Yeah, exactly. So then the following year, you got a big opportunity. You played in 16 games. So like, what was that year like for you in the adjustment period? Like, you had all your confidence from the year before, and you're actually really starting to play more games and getting that experience that you wanted.
Yeah, I went in. I was goalie partners with Matt O'Connor, who obviously, like, I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast knows who that guy is. That
Yeah.
guy was an absolute stud. So I learned a lot from him that year, and just kind of watching him, the way he prepared every day, watching him just do the little things right every single day. I learned a lot from that I implemented in my game and my routine moving forward. So I think, yeah, I played that year and I got some experience that way, but I learned how to be a pro that year. I felt like I learned a lot about the preparation side of things.
Yeah. So going off of that, being prepared and all that, like you create routines, you create like learn, pretty much become a pro at that point. You learn from the experiences and the things you learn from especially like a guy like Matt O'Connor? Like, what were some of the biggest things that you took away from that, and just how to really be a pro?
I think kind of until then it was just like show up to the rink, tape your stick, get dressed, go on the ice. Like at practice, like if you have a good practice, bad practice, whatever, who cares? But with him, it was like, all right, we're gonna get there. We're gonna foam roll. We're gonna do hip routines. We're gonna dynamic warm up. We're gonna get on the ice. We're gonna battle, compete. Like that guy just hated getting scored on. And I watching how seriously he took practice every single day. It was like that's what it takes to be great. And I learned a lot from that. And then even after practice, we're going upstairs, we're riding the bike, we're stretching, we're doing all that stuff. So it was just a complete 180. I felt like from what I had been used to.
Yeah, for sure. And like especially like stretching after the game, like good for recovery and all that, especially when you're playing so much like you were, and just getting on the ice at practice and like practicing a lot. So like what was important about the recovery process of everything that he taught you, and just everything that you learned, especially after playing getting a lot of games in your second year?
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, we're skating every single day, twice a day on game days with morning skates. So it's like you're averaging over a skate a day during the weeks, and it's like you can't not take care of your body and expect your body to maintain that kind of work schedule. So
Yeah.
he had dealt with some injuries before, so I think that's where he kind of picked it up from and learned from. So just kind of getting to experience that before I had to go through that myself. I can't thank him enough for that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And just like through everything you learned, just like recovery, like you're playing a lot, like that's what helps you become a successful goaltender, especially like you have to take care of your body. Like that's no question there. And like if you don't, like your body's not going to treat you well, and you're probably going to end up getting injured more often than not. So like that's very important to be a successful goaltender, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you see guys with the labrum tears and groin injuries and stuff. It's like some of that stuff cannot be prevented just from the way some guys' bodies are, designed. But I think a lot of it can be if you kind of take care of your body and do things the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. So then the following season, you play even more games. You become the guy for the Youngstown Phantoms and played in 53 games. It's like, what was it like being the guy and getting that workload, even like more than the year before? You had 16 games. Like, that's a huge jump from 16 games to 53 games. Like, what was the workload there?
Well, start the year off, I wasn't the guy. I was splitting, and then I remember so clearly. I'll never forget this. We're at the practice rink, and I had been playing well, but our team was kind of struggling a little bit. And our coach Anthony Noreen, who's still one of the best coaches I've ever had to this day, man, that guy could fire you up for anything, dude. He gives a speech, you're ready to run through a wall. But he comes over. He wasn't the best skater, so he awkwardly skates over. I remember it so clearly. And he gets down because I'm stretching. He gets down and he goes, "I want you to take the ball and run with it. Like it's kind of your net now." And I remember that, and that just like flipped a switch in my head. I was so fired up for that, and our team ended up going on a heater after that. And yeah, I mean, that was a great year. Tiring year, that's for sure. I had to stay on top of the stretching and all that stuff for sure. But yeah, that was one of my favorite years of hockey.
Yeah, for sure. It's like when your coach said that, like you get a whole confidence booster, especially even more since he's literally said it's yours to lose, I guess you could say. And just it's like, how much did that mean to you, and just give you the opportunity to develop even further, and then just make a name for yourself as well in the USHL, going on to your college days as well?
Yeah, I mean, that confidence is everything. It's one thing to play with your back against the wall and it's like do or die kind of situations, but once you know that you're the guy, like you look at guys in the NHL, like they get pulled, they're in the next night. It's like they have that confidence, they just go out and play, and that's just one of the best things. That's one of the best positions you can be in as a goalie. It's like when you almost have no worries in the world. It's like you're so free to just play your game and not worry about the outcome, because then you can stay so in the moment and just focus on each individual shot, not worry about the score and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. 100% there. So then you go on to your last year and the USHL where you went 8-21-1. So like, what, like obviously that year it seemed to be a hard year for you. So like, what was your mindset throughout that time when you're not playing or not getting the wins that you would want, and just you want as much as you want to take wins, but just take one game at a time, especially when things may not be going the right way?
Yeah, so it's funny we talked about all the recovery and stuff like that. I took probably a month off after the 50 whatever game season, and my first skate back on the ice, I got injured. I forgot when it was, but kind of early on in the summer. And I just had never been injured before, and it lingered on all summer. And I actually ended up missing most of the first half of the year. That's why like my game total was down a little bit. And then I came back, and I just wasn't the same that year from the injury and stuff. And I learned a lot from the mental side of things that year. Like that was one of the toughest years of my life, just dealing with adversity. But I think that adversity helped me a lot moving forward, just making me tougher in situations.
Yeah. So like, what were some of the things you learned throughout like that experience with your mindset, and just that you faced the adversity of getting injured, and like you have to really like push through everything and grind your way to a successful recovery, and then finally get into games where it may not be feeling that great?
I definitely learned a lot. Learned a lot about my body. I learned a lot about like the science and kind of the stuff that goes into like the muscles and all that stuff. So that has helped me a lot after that. Um, yeah, but it's never fun watching your team play, and to sit there, and especially after the year we had before where we were really good, coming into a year where we kind of struggled a little bit. I'm up in the press box every game watching, and that was tough. It kind of shows you that things don't always go your way, um, but it's more about how you handle it and how you react to it. You can't let that dictate how you are as a person, how you handle things. So that was a year where I just kind of had to start learning the process of taking things day by day and just focusing on what I can control. And I think that's kind of been my mindset moving forward after that.
Yeah, absolutely. And throughout that year, you were also named an assistant captain, so you had the A on your jersey. It's like, how much did that mean to you, getting the assistant captain nod, and just being able to take that leadership in, and just even though you weren't playing as much, and you're injured, like just take it and just help other guys learn?
Yeah, it was an honor at the start of the year, but it became more of just another piece of the puzzle where it was just kind of dragging me down mentally, because I felt like I was just letting not just myself down, but everyone down at that point. Like I was looked to be a leader at the start of the year and couldn't play in half the games. So it was tough for sure. Definitely tried to, teach some of the younger guys how to do things the right way. I knew it was my last year in Youngstown, so I was kind of trying to, leave my mark, leave my legacy, and kind of show people like the right way to do things, because I had such good guys before me show me. So I figured if I couldn't perform on the ice the way I wanted to, I wanted to try to show guys how to be a pro and do things the right way off the ice.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure it made you even a better person as well. And just from everything, especially getting injured, and then like having to like be on the sideline, just watch and just help other guys learn. Like that must made you a better person overall.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it made me enjoy hockey more when I came back. Because I remember being hurt and I was watching one of our goalies just doing an absolute bag drill. It's a drill like if you're playing every day, you hate this drill. Like you want nothing to do with it. You complain about it after all that stuff. And I was sitting there and I was like, man, I would do anything to be doing that drill right now. Like I hate that drill, and I would do anything to play right now and do that. So when I came back, it definitely, I kept that in my head where like, this is what I love to do, and just to enjoy every part of it.
Yeah, you really miss the game when you want to bag skate yourself and do all the bagger drills. Like that's when you really want to join the team again.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then after your final years in junior, you end up committing to University of Maine to play NCAA Division I hockey. So like, what was the process like to find Maine and have it be your school for which would be the next 2 years?
Yeah, so like I committed to Maine, or I started talking to Maine rather, the start of my second to last year in juniors, and then I ended up committing, like I want to say like in January or something like that. So I committed for a year and a half out. So I knew I had to come back to Youngstown the next year. And I was a little naive going into the process. I wasn't really too sure about how things worked in college. I just saw it was a great program and I wanted to go there, good goalie situation and stuff. But I ended up committing to a different coaching staff that ended up being there when I was there. So I think if I could go back, I kind of would have, put more thought into it and just kind of realize like there is a business side to things and just, kind of taking people's advice. I didn't think that like that stuff mattered. Even people said it, but yeah, I would like to go back and kind of, just dive into that decision a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. So then you go into your first year of college hockey. So like, did you have any expectations going into your first year? Were you like when you went to those camps and you didn't have any expectations and you just played? Was that your mindset there when you just wanted to play no matter what?
Yeah, I mean, going as a freshman, it's just like you kind of just want to like get playing time that year. So I think, but the only thing different was that I was older now. So I wasn't that 15-year-old naive kid. Like I knew what was on the line. I knew guys were playing for contracts, guys are playing to move on and stuff like that. So there was more to it than that. But yeah, definitely, I was still just pretty eager to go in there and to see what could happen at that point.
Yeah, for sure. So like, what was that transition like going from the USHL to NCAA Division I college hockey?
It's definitely a jump. You got guys that are you going from playing with the oldest is 20 to now you got guys up to 25. In college, you're playing with grown men at this point. Um, Game is just a little bigger, faster, stronger. The guys that are screening you seem to be a little bit bigger. The guys that are whacking your glove after the whacks are a little harder. But I think when you play in the USHL, you're seeing a lot of the same guys in college. So you kind of grow with the game, and it's a jump at first. It's a little faster, but for the most part, it feels pretty normal, pretty fast, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. So then going into it a little bit here, like you like obviously the game gets faster, strong, everyone gets stronger, faster, bigger, like you said. So like what would you do to help yourself like stay in position, especially like when guys can just whip the puck whenever they want, just hit their spots, change the angle in like a quick half a second, like what to give yourself the best opportunity to make a save, like what would you do to help yourself do that?
I think it all comes down to skating. It's if you're in position with the puck, like you're gonna stop it 97% of the time. So if the big part is just skating the game. If you can skate the game, you can play the game, and just focusing on my fundamentals and skating every day, and just trying to get that faster, sharper, more dialed in every day. I think that stuff kind of pays the biggest dividends. If you can, like I said, if you can skate, you can play.
Yeah, skating's a huge part of being a goaltender. Like you use skating for everything, like your edge work, like just getting the plays before they even happen, just as they're happening. Like there's a lot to think about, and like you have to stay on your feet as much as you can, especially when you get to those next levels, and you just gotta. Everyone thinks the game a little bit quicker.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then going into your first year, you play in 23 games where you went 7-13-1. So like, what was it like getting a shot from the start to get experience under your belt as a freshman, especially when some freshmen see like 1 to 2 games their freshman year?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely had a good opportunity my freshman year. I think looking back, I probably didn't do enough with it. There were a few times like I wish I would have. Obviously, everyone wishes they would have probably performed a little better at times, but there are definitely games looking back where I'd have been like, if I could have made a big save here or there, it would have made a big impact on my season. But yeah, overall, man, just to go in there and play that many games as a freshman, I can't be too upset with that.
Yeah, for sure. So like you got that experience right from the start. So like what did you have to learn throughout that year if you're going to make a name for yourself in Division I hockey and have a potential to move up to the pro ranks after college?
I'd say my mindset in college didn't really change at that point. It was kind of the same as juniors. Like the stuff I learned in juniors, just playing every game and stuff like that stuff, just kind of carried over. It wasn't. I wouldn't say I had really like a mindset switch or anything like that in college.
Yeah, that's good. So it pretty much stayed the same and you're able to ride with it the rest of the way.
Yeah.
So then after your second year, you decided to transfer after playing only 2 games your sophomore season, and you entered the NCAA transfer portals where you had to miss a full year of hockey. So, like, how difficult was that year for you, and staying motivated to continue to grind through practices and training sessions to finally be able to play the following year at Ohio State University?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough not playing games. You know, you're on the team, but you're not really on the team. Guys travel, and you're at home by yourself, and that part kind of sucked. But it was never a grind though. Like I knew this is what I love, this is what I wanted to do, and I just kept thinking big picture. You know, like how many seasons have I played already? It's like they go by so fast, and I know that 6 months from now, I'm going to look back and say, all right, what did I wish I did with this 6 months off of no games? And I'm like, all right, well, I wish I would work out more, do more drills in practice, like just get better however I can. And so I made sure to kind of go forward to the end of the year and look back and think what I would have liked to do and implemented that stuff at the start of the year going forward. So I had no regrets. So I felt like that was a big developmental year. And I had a great goalie coach, Joe Exter. Like that guy he was on me all the time. Not that I needed him on me, but he was willing to work with me whenever I could. And I owe a lot of my success after that year to him, because he was definitely there for me when not many guys care about the red shirt goalie, you know?
Yeah.
You know, they don't really need to worry about you, but he made it a point to include me in a lot of things, and he helped me a lot that year, that's for sure.
Yeah. So throughout that time that you weren't playing games, like what would you do at practice to help yourself stay in shape, and especially just to that development, like you said, and just be able to develop even more than in years past?
Yeah, I'd say doing the goalie skates before practice, after practice, grabbing shooters, doing whatever I could. And then, you're not getting the reps you'd like because you got two guys in the nets that are battling for ice time themselves, So I think it's never fun to watch, but if you watch with an intent to learn, you can pick up a lot of things. And I definitely learned a lot of things from watching those guys play and seeing it from a third person perspective. I learned a lot about the college game, and I think that stuff helped me have success after that year.
Yeah, for sure. And you're able to learn so much from just watching guys and just watching where they shoot and everything. So then after that year, you then transferred to Ohio State University. So, like, what was it like being welcomed to your new home in Ohio?
Oh man, Ohio State was awesome. Like just being there, even like that redshirt year there, like it was just such a good group of people to be with, and I couldn't have a better place to have that redshirt year than Ohio State. 'Cause there's so many things going on. Like when the guys would leave, like there'd be football games, there'd be stuff that I could do to kind of take my mind off of like what was going on.
Just be an actual student at that point.
Yeah, exactly. I did really well in school that year. I could take an couple extra classes because I had more time. Um, but yeah, man, being a student in Columbus was never a bad thing. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So then during that year, you played 37 games. So it was the most games you played in your college career. So what was the process like for you to find your groove again, and your overall experience with OSU, especially after, like you said, you really enjoyed your time there? So like that must have been a really fun year, especially when you're playing a lot.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the most memorable years of my career. Going to the Frozen Four with some of the best group of guys I've ever been with. Like these guys are some of my best friends to this day, and like they're going to be at my wedding, I'll be at theirs, and just to do something special with that group was awesome. I got to thank Rawls a lot too, or Coach Rawlick, for that year. I came in, and after that redshirt year, he gave me the preseason game against the Canadian school. Like we all kind of thought we were going to dominate the game, and I think I let in like 8 goals or something like that, and we lost. And I was like, I'm done here. Like I look terrible, all that stuff. But he gave me the nod going into the year. He gave me that confidence we talked about, where he was like, you're the guy, you run with it, do your thing. And I think that gave me all the confidence in the world to play my game, and I had success that year thanks to him.
Yeah, sometimes all you need is that confidence from the coach, the players, everyone. Like it makes you perform a lot better than you would think, especially when you have everyone believing in you.
Absolutely.
So then going into your senior year, you play in 17 games. So like how special was your senior year, especially after going through like everything you have in the past and now getting professional teams looking at you?
Yeah, it was cool. I wish we would have, done a little better in the end. Unfortunately, we were great all regular season. We won the Big Ten regular season, so to get a ring with the guys I mentioned, like that was awesome. We were the number one team in the country for a little while, but unfortunately, we lost the first game of Big Tens and lost the first game in the tournament, so it wasn't the ending we wanted. But I wouldn't change anything about my time at Ohio State because I had absolute blast, and I think it really developed me and prepared me for life after school, and especially the pro hockey side of things. Like I felt very ready for that when my time came.
Yeah, for sure. That must have been an awesome experience besides losing those games in the tournament, but just overall like being at OSU and just being able to be number one in the country for a little bit and then like just everything that went on throughout that year is like what was some of your favorite college hockey memories?
Man, there's so many. I think if I had to pick one, I'd say when we beat Denver in the second round of the tournament, my redshirt junior year, like literally everyone in the country had picked Denver to win. Like every single person picked Denver to win, and we came in and just played unbelievable. And to have that experience, I remember we flew home after the game, so it was just the boys on the plane, and we were having a lot of fun and soaking it all in. And that's definitely one of the most memorable experiences I had in college for sure.
That must have been an unreal feeling, especially when you guys were the underdogs and you guys took them on and came out
Yeah,
with the dub.
we were the higher seed going in, and we were still huge underdogs. And just to prove everyone wrong like that, because everyone in our locker room knew we could do it, and then we just had to show everyone else we could. So I'm glad we did.
Yeah, exactly. So then after your senior year, you decide to go pro where you find yourself getting opportunity signing the following year with the Cincinnati Cyclones in the East Coast Hockey League. So what was it like getting that shot with Cincinnati and like the process to sign with a professional team?
Yeah, it was awesome. I've been in a lot of places professionally, and that's definitely one of the best programs I've been to. So just kind of getting off to a good start with that organization, I felt like really helped me a lot. Just top down, that place is run very professionally, and again, like I keep saying it, I've been so lucky, but unbelievable group of guys to play with there too, and so much fun, great city, and that kind of like got me off to a good start with my pro career and kind of gave me that confidence we keep talking about to where like I can play at this level, I can do this. And even though I got bounced around after that, it was like I stayed true to myself because I knew that I had success and I knew I could play at that level.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. And like it all comes full circle when we're talking about that confidence and everything that goes into being a goaltender and just playing the game at the best level you can, especially when you have all the confidence like that and you're believing in yourself and everyone else is believing in you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like what was that first taste of pro hockey like in Cincinnati? Like you played your first pro game. So like what were the emotions like going through you and then getting your first pro win?
Well, man, my first pro game was a roller coaster. We were up 4-0. I was on the bench. Hauser was playing. Hauser hurts his knee with like 5 minutes left in the second period, so I go in. It's 4-0 after two. Florida comes out and scores three quick ones. It's 4-3. I'm like, dude, my first game, I'm gonna blow a 4-0 lead. Like, you gotta be kidding me. I remember I made a big backdoor save at 4-3. And then after that, our team kind of clamped it down and we ended up winning 4-3. So it was a very stressful first pro game, that's for sure.
Yeah, and you're just thinking like, oh shit, it's 4-3 and we're up 4-0 at one
Yeah,
point. Like you don't want to be the goalie that ruins it, especially when you guys were up 4-0 after two.
exactly. So to get out of that and then to go in, like I played my first game that weekend in Brampton, we won. Um, After that, like any sort of like nerves or jitters I had about pro hockey were kind of gone. I settled in pretty quickly after that, I felt like.
Yeah. So like what were some of the things you learned through getting your first year under your belt and now in your second year, like what has been some of the things you learned from that first experience in Cincy?
Um, I think the biggest thing I learned was because like I'd come from obviously you played a lot in juniors, but in college, like the most I played was what 37 games. You said
Yeah.
so you go from 37 games to pro. We're playing like 70 games a year, something like that, and you're like coming up. We got 4 games in 5 days. It's like if you have a good game or bad game on Wednesday, like you can't care about that on Friday. And then like same thing Friday, like it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's like every single day is a new day, and like you gotta just turn the page constantly, and almost like don't take things too seriously. Like I remember in college, I'd get pretty worked up because you played 2 games in a weekend,
Yeah.
and it was gonna be like these games were so important, and I'd kind of like psych myself out almost. But like when you get to pro, it's like you playing so much, like you gotta just be so even keel, and because if not, you'll just stress yourself out and you won't enjoy the process. So I think just learn how to approach each game and get my mind right to where what I need to have for success. Like that was the biggest thing I learned.
Yeah, for sure. You just gotta enjoy the process. Like like everything you went through, like that's part of the process. And then where you are now, like that's still part of the process. And you're just gonna keep developing and keep getting more and more memories, more stories. Like everything's gonna keep happening. So you just gotta enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then you begin your travel last year where you played on 5 teams with getting 18 games under your belt. So like what was that first year like traveling and being just having going to a ton of different teams in different cities and visiting a ton of great places along the way?
Yeah, that was a lot, man. Like I remember every day you go into the rink like not knowing what's gonna happen. Like my first game we were in my first East Coast game we were in Brampton for like a Friday Saturday, and it was Friday morning at morning skate. I'm doing like a dynamic warm up. My coach comes up to me and goes, "Hey, you're getting called up to Rochester in the American League." And I'm just like, I thought I was playing here tonight. Now I'm driving 6 hours to go play, like to go back up a game in the American League, to drive back the next morning to play tomorrow. It's just like, you got to stay in the moment and just take everything with a grain of salt. Just enjoy it. But yeah, just kind of bouncing around. It's like we said, you just learn to take each day by day and stay in the moment, and just focus on the things you can control. Because a lot of it too comes down to contracts and there's a business side to things. So a lot of things are out of your control. So just learning that and learning not to let that bother me, I think was the biggest thing that helped me get through that.
Yeah, for sure. It's like going into that Rochester call up, like what was your experience in Rochester? Like you spent a day in Rochester. It's like what was that like and just getting that call up to go to the AHL?
Yeah, it was cool. Like not many guys get to be in that league, and just to be there for a game, I think was really cool, and definitely motivated me to want to get back there. That's for sure. But like we keep talking about like watching guys and stuff, just the things I picked up from that game and watching those guys at the next level, like that information just helped me a lot when I came back down the next day. Like I feel like I learned so much just from being there for one game.
Yeah, for sure. And like even just one game, like one day, like you said, like you learn so much from the experience, especially when you go up the higher levels. Like you'll catch on to things so much more easier, and everything becomes like a learning experience at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just try to pick up things from everyone, every step of the way. And if you can combine all that information, you'll end up in a good spot, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So then you still begin to travel where you went to Florida, Adirondack, and Norfolk. Like, what were those experiences like? Especially like Florida, you're playing in somewhere where it's very warm year round, and that must have been you probably had like a beachfront view. And like, what was that like experience like in Florida?
Yeah, we went to the beach a couple of days when I was there. That's for sure. We were on the road a lot. But yeah, I mean, every place you get on the same kind of ice, same gear, same puck, same sticks, same game. It doesn't matter what city you're in, doesn't matter who's on the ice. It was just kind of being consistent with the way I view things and my preparation and all that stuff. And it didn't matter if I was in sunny Florida or if I was up in the mountains in Adirondack or where I was. It didn't matter. It was just every day was the same process for me, and I think learning that I could do that in all those different places, no matter what was going on around me, helped me a lot with my preparation, my mental side.
Yeah, and then towards the end of the year, like everything, it became really wild and crazy with COVID coming into play. So like, what are the events leading up to like the season getting postponed and canceled, and just everything that happened around that time?
Dude, to be honest with you, like when COVID hit, I'd been bounced around so much. I was like, all right, I'm almost ready to hit the reset button and go home for the summer. So I wasn't too upset when COVID hit, to be honest with you. Like obviously the COVID stuff's terrible, but I'm saying just from the hockey side, it was good for me to hit the reset button and knew I had the summer after that to prepare and get ready for the next year. But yeah, it was crazy. Like guys were going home, staying. Like guys didn't know what to expect. Guys didn't know if we were playing. Like it was a lot of uncertainty, that's for sure.
Yeah, wild time, that's for sure. Hopefully we don't experience anything like that again.
Seriously, dude, that was crazy.
Yeah, for real. So I have a few more questions for you before we wrap things up here. So do you have any tips for goaltenders looking to get to that next level?
Um, I'd say love what you do. Finding the love for the game is one of the most important things because if you don't love it, you're not going to want to get on the ice early, stay late, do all that work. Like if you don't love it, it will feel like work, and if you do love it, it'll feel like just what you want to do each day. And I'd say master your skating. The best goalies in the league, like in the National Hockey League, are the best skaters. Just focus on that kind of stuff every day. Get 1% better every day, and it'll make a huge difference in the long run.
Yeah, I love what you said there, and just everything you said is so true. You have to master skating if you want to be a good goaltender, and just being able to keep up with the plays. And then you just got to find the love of the game. Like hockey is the best sport in the world. Like you just got to find the love for it and just enjoy playing it, and enjoying the moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my final question for you is or I have two more actually. So what's your favorite pump up song? Like you're trying to get a lift in before a skate. You could listen to pregame warm ups. Like what are you listening to?
Favorite pump up. Wow. So I'm actually big on no music for workouts. Like I would train with no music. I try to like make it as mentally draining as possible, but this is kind of embarrassing. I'd say if I had to think of a pump up song just based off like how my career has gone, I think my pump up song would be Fighter by Christina Aguilera. It's kind of girly, but give it a shot next time. Listen to the words, and I think it'll get you going.
I'll definitely have to check that out. That's for sure. And everyone here better check that out too.
It's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. So my final question for you is what's been like your favorite pro moment so far?
Favorite pro moment. Man, might have been yesterday, beating Fort Wayne 1-0. And anytime you get a shutout's, pretty cool. And I've only had two in my career. The first one was a bit of a lopsided game, so I think to win a 1-0 game yesterday on the road in a tough place to play against a really good team, I'd say that was probably my favorite pro moment so far.
That's unreal. It just happened yesterday, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a cool experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sean, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time and want to wish you the best of luck with the rest of the season. And I look forward to following your career the rest of the way. And I may have to come up to Indy to see one of these games before the season ends.
Yeah, let me know, man. I'll get you tickets. And I appreciate you having me on, dude. I hope the dorm room moves goes pretty well for you.
Yeah, thank you. It should be, hopefully. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed.